Peace, family. Let's talk about it real quick. So we got to do some future planning for 2024. All right. Um, with every future plan, we always start with the simple 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? How many people want to reach their zenith? That's the question. If you don't know what the zenith is, well, that's another question. Right? It's another question you should ask. What the hell is a zenith keys, and how do I reach it? Well, I got you. Right? And I'm gonna tell you in just a second. So as we talk about, wealth, and we talk about allocation of wealth, producing it, resources, all of that stuff, it seems abstract when we just use words like that, right? The goal is becoming asset rich, right? Let's start there, and then we can start moving into areas where we're talking about wealth, which is the accumulation of those assets over time, right? So the reason I started off with saying, do you want to reach your zenith? Because reaching your zenith is essentially, reaching your max potential in a particular category, whether it's life, whether it's career, whether it's goals, right? Being at the top, at the highest height of where you can maximize and reach. So when we talking about, what is your zenith, you should have that in mind, right? Like, do you have a visual goal in mind that you can see yourself at? I just think about that for a second. If you had to play a role in a movie, and this character that you was playing was better than yourself, they can speak better than you, think better than you, have more money, they're well put together, right? They've reached their goals, they mastered themselves, and then you have to go read a script on how to become this character, right? And in the getting ready for this character, you have to put yourself in the mindset, and then you have to act out this role, right, for this show or for this movie. That's essentially what life is, right? Life is, figuring out what script you want to read for the character that you want to become and living that out for the rest of your days. Right? That's the goal. So, everybody has to do that same thing. So some people, there's no really a such thing as faking it if you become it. It's only faking it if you don't actually become that thing that you actually, working towards on a daily basis. You don't, the goal is not even to try to control yourself. The goal is to build yourself, right? So you have to install these things into you, right? Now we have natural things that we have as habits, right? The habits that we have are the things that we do on a daily. You don't have to control yourself if your habits are already good, is the whole point, right? So if you have a habit of waking up and doing the right thing, you don't need to control, because now you have yourself on automation, right? Some people are going to wake up, they're going to watch TV, or they're going to scroll, get that dopamine hit. They're going to go to the gym. Some people, they automatic, whether they want to or not, it's what their body craves, right? It's what their rhythm craves. So they ain't got to control yourself. Your goal is to not control yourself. The goal is to not control yourself. The goal is to put yourself on automation, right? So you don't have to control yourself. That's it. It's like you can try to teach your children and control them, or you can give them the habits that put them on automation. So the goal is about self-design. So when you're talking about having the ability to build a life, and build your future. Oh, somebody had called. When you're talking about becoming asset rich, all it's all about is building up the habits that allow you to, accumulate the right things on a daily basis. That's it. So we going into 2024, based on the calendar year, right? But the season that we're going into is a winter season, right? And the winter season being upon us is a time where, you are really supposed to hibernate with your thoughts, right? You're supposed to go into that place and really settle into yourself to know exactly what you want to do. Winter is the time of planning, right? You get everything down, because if you plan for your first quarter, right? And there's a whole science to this. You can plan for your first quarter, and you can think about, hey, I want to make You know, like most people have their best days on Black Friday, but you can create your own Black Friday. Whether you got a product or a service, you can spend the next 30 to 60 days advertising something for a release date, right? That'll give you a big push in sales, right? So your first quarter, what is your goal? So you want to figure out what is your monthly goal and what are the weekly goals and the daily goals. And then inside those daily goals, what are the things that you need to do every single day to reach those goals? And then based on that, what are the habits that you need to form to do those things every day, right? So it's like you're constantly putting a box in a box and a box in a box, right? So we starting off with what is the habit that I need to form in order to do the activity that's going to gain the result, right? So if you're writing a book, it could be waking up every day and recording yourself, picking a subject that you want to talk about, or if it's your life story, you're picking a chapter and which age you want to speak on. You record that, right? And then you transcript that out. So you'll wake up, you'll stack a habit on top of something you already do. So you will say, I'm going to record myself after I do this. And it has to be something that you already do, right? That's, the law of habits, right? With the atomic habits. So you stack that on there. Then after that, you say, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself in the morning. Boom. So now you're recording yourself. So by having that habit, it's going to eventually end up in the result of all of these recordings. So if it's 30 days, you got 30 days worth of recordings. Now your habits have reached a result. So based on the accumulation of this result, you take those 30 days of these recordings and you get them transcribed out, right? So now you have a new habit, right? You're going every day and you're sorting out what do you want to, how do you want to format this book? What is the time that you want to get this done? So you have to set yourself a lifeline, not a deadline, a lifeline, man. You bringing this to life, you animating it. You know what I'm talking about? So if I say by January 30th, I want to have me a new book, then I got to look at, all right, what's the habit that I need to form in order to bring that into reality? Then, you got to set yourself in that place before it becomes so. And all of this should be written down. And if you write it down, put it on a calendar, put it on a visual map, and you have a goal for the way and where you want to go to, all of this stuff starts to form. So then you say, boom, all right, based on if I do this and I follow this for the next, let's say 30 to 60 days, you'll have your first project done, right? So now you want to have a 90-day out. So that means that on top of you getting this recording done or whatever is that habit that you're doing, you got to add marketing on top of that, branding on top of that, right? When we're talking about branding is very important and marketing is very important. Marketing gets you to the branding. And you have to know the difference between marketing and branding, right? I clearly know the difference between marketing and branding. I learn the science, I teach the science, I use the science, I apply the science, I execute the science, right? So think about movies. Before movies come out, they do advertising and marketing, right? They are everywhere. Before somebody pushes out an album, they have to do advertisement, they have to do marketing. Right? So while you're doing these things, you have to say, what is the marketing campaign that I want to have? With the marketing campaign, you're driving an idea in people's mind. The more we see something, the more familiar we are with it, the more attracted we are to it. Right? This is the science. Make sure y'all join the subscriber channel. Make sure, because we're going to be teaching a webinar. You'll get the full. It's going to be heavy. And we're just going to give you the game outright to where 2024, you should be able to go with this science hand in hand with a whole booklet where you're ready to just execute. If you follow the blueprint and the framework, you're a winner. That's it. It's just life. So we teach you how to build, your brand costume is what we call it. Right? Your brand costume, the costume that if somebody wanted to dress up like you for Halloween, they can be like, oh, I know how to dress up like you, right? If you wanted to dress up like Sexy Red, to put on her hair, to put on the little bikini bottom and some stilettos, and you go outside with her little glasses on because she has a brand, right? And it's been branded inside of your mind of what that is. So you have to learn how to create a brand costume. You have to know what your brand archetype is. What type of brand, what is the feeling that it emanates, right? You have to know, the emotions behind the brand, the colors behind the brand, the psychology behind it, right? So if you start forming this, what you're doing is you're animating an entity, right? You're forming a body, a head, a heart, the blood, the lungs, the personality. You're creating an entity, right, to be born into this world. That's why it's not a deadline, it's a lifeline, to where you're bringing something to life, right? I don't know why people say deadlines when you're literally trying to bring something to life. No, it's a lifeline. When is this thing going to come into fruition? When is it going to be birthed? Right? That's the goal. So, when you think about, let's say, Black Friday, you can literally plan your whole entire year just for Black Friday, right? And if you started from January 1st all the way up until next year to November, and you was planning and you was telling people every single day, Black Friday comes, it's going to be crazy. But people don't want to blow for Black Friday. So they're going to be buying from you, up until that date still. But they know in their head when Black Friday comes around, if you're telling and drilling this into them every single day, that they're going to buy from you Black Friday. Because when it comes and they like, what do I want to spend my money on this year? They're going to remember you. Oh, of course, this one I'm gonna spend my money on. This thing that I've been hearing about all goddamn year, and I finally get the opportunity to buy it. So then it increases your sales to where you can have a day that trumps a person's whole entire year. So it's different ways to do that. So we can break it down from the sense of, you're trying to create multiple Black Fridays, because all it is giving yourself advanced time to drill an idea in the minds, right? And then having that day where you give birth to it and allowing all that energy to flow in that direction, right, of where you want to push and channel it. The thing is that you have to have something that you are investing in for this year. And a lot of y'all, I need y'all to go and thank everybody who told you to go buy gold. Thank people who told you to go buy Bitcoin. Thank people who told you to go buy stocks, right? Thank people who told you to go buy assets, and that's been educating you for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Whether you bought it or not, that's up to you. That doesn't matter. The value of it is not about whether you actually listen. The value of it is if you had listened and if you had executed, what would have been the results? Bitcoin could have made you so much money, and then so many people told you, no, it's a scam, don't buy this. Why they pushing this? Doesn't make any sense, right? So many people was telling you, yo, go buy those stocks. Go buy these AI stocks. Go buy these tech stocks. Go buy these things. You didn't listen. Why not? And think about all of the money that you spent. Go look at your bank statements. Go download it and look at where you spent all of your money throughout the whole year. The coins ain't really down. The coins can only be down if you bought at the top. The coins ain't down. They up. It don't make no sense. The question is, why haven't you? That's what I really want to know. Like, you teach somebody how to dollar cost average, or you teach them how to have a strategy to where they can, invest, take profit, reinvest. How come all the stuff that you've learned over the years, why aren't you applying it? That's the question. Because the goal ain't about believing in these things. The goal is about leveraging these things. Somebody said they broke. You broke because you didn't listen. Broke is a state of existence where a person isn't working. Broke isn't an arrived point. There are no excuses. Everybody wants to have an excuse. Your excuses only matter, right, to your next decision. They don't matter to me. I don't want to hear no one's excuse ever. Like, ever in life. Now, the people who have been executed, shout out to you. Shout out to you all that have, decided that, man, I heard that piece of game, I listened. Shout out to people that bought a course and was like, yo, they taught this one strategy, this the one. I've been applying this and it worked for me. Because one thing I learned is negativity is always louder than the positive praise. When something don't work for somebody, they want to tell everybody. But when something works, people be quiet when they win sometimes. See, For some reason, people go into the negative zones. The amount of people that win in life, you know what I mean, and the amount of people that don't think everything is a scam, they are willing to take the risk. There are some people who probably still crying about some money they lost 2-3 years ago. And what it does is it creates stress when you think about opportunities. So therefore, it repels you away from those opportunities. Instead of you thinking about the reward, right, of the risk, then you'll be willing to take it because your body is going to produce dopamine hit when you think about those things. The biggest scams in the world are like the clubs. They go in there and spend 300%, 500% markup on a bottle. It's a scam, literally. You taking something that costs goddamn $50 at a liquor store, and you charging people 500% markup because you're selling it in the building down the street. How does that make sense? Women be scamming men all the time. Take me to dinner. Why? On a false promise that you think you go hit. Buying them drinks. They know you're not, but they go play the game and manipulate you and think you can. So now you're spending money on this person for the idea that you're going to get something that you're not going to get. People literally are gambling. Going and gambling their money week to week, month to month on betting in games and sports. But these are not scams to you. The problem is your mentality. It's not about who's trying to scam you. It's about your mentality. When you allow people to make you think that you're a victim, you become one. Oh man, you're a human being. Go out there and take more opportunity. And this ain't for everybody. Everybody won't be asset rich. Everybody don't want to be asset rich and won't be. I'm only speaking to those who want to plan and go listen. So anyway, let's get back to it. AI. You've been hearing about AI for the last year or two. If you've been following me, I've been speaking on it for the last 5 years. What is a way to make money in AI? Quick money way is to invest in the war of AI. There's an AI war going on. The companies are fighting each other. Anytime that there's a fight for a new space, it is good for the consumer, right? There are new news that comes out. Oh, Google got theirs. Meta got theirs. Amazon got theirs. You know what I mean? Apple got theirs. Then you see spikes in these stocks. That's the new high thing. So guess what? If you invest in a stock, then that becomes an asset that you own, right? And your equity in that company goes up. So when you hear about something that's hot in the streets, you hear about something that's everywhere, right? It lets you know that there's a lot of attention, a lot of energy, a lot of money going into that area. So you invest in it. So once it goes up, you benefit. I mean, from a simple standpoint. But beyond that, you start picking up AI skill sets. You learn how to utilize this disruptive technology. Some people decide to say, hey, I'm going to be a news forecaster when it comes to AI. So people have been making money just by presenting the news on AI. Then companies come in and they pay you to be a speaker. I personally have helped people do this, and I know people who have done this. Come international speakers speaking on a new subject that arises, right? Because you're putting in more time than the average person, and the value is that you can teach people because most people don't know it. So anytime there's a problem, you present a solution, you get paid for it. Simple. You go on YouTube, people are searching for it, you start creating content around it, whether you're automating or using AI to create content on AI. There's money being made. Why be a spectator when you can get in the game? There's people who do not want to utilize the technology themselves, even in their business. Say, listen, I know that, there's AI to do copy. I know that there's AI to do cold calling. I know that there's AI influencers and AI this, that, and the third, but they don't want to do all that. So you say, hey, listen, my specialty is doing that. But you got to know what tools to use. You got to have the skills. You got to know how to use it in the right manner. You got to know how to prompt. People are getting paid $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to do this stuff right now. The fact that well, let me just speak to the people who are doing it. Congratulations. Congratulations to the people who are doing it, because you are a part of the intelligent class of society that knows how to maneuver and move and plan and execute. I'm gonna tell you, your ideas are no longer worth what they used to be. Ideas are like farts. Everybody have them. It's execution that matters. Execution is much rare. A person who can take an idea and see it through. That's all the people that matter right now. They're not special for having an idea. Stop it. Only you will now only be measured by what you can execute, what you can see all the way through. So when you go to jobs, they're gonna ask you who cares who you work for. Nobody cares what your skill set is. It's going to be, what have you done? I've done this, I've done, not who you work, what have you done? What have you completed? What have you executed? Because we need people with the mind of execution. Those are different type of people in the world. This is your time if you were executor. Don't care about no ideas. Can you see it through? Because I need people who can see shit through. End of your transmission.